I yield the customary 30 minutes to the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Hastings, pending which I yield myself the time that I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
During consideration of this resolution, all time yielded is for the purpose of debate only. Mr. Speaker, I ask for unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in support of H.Res. 320 and the underlying legislation 2219, which appropriates funds for the Department of Defense for fiscal year 2012. The rule is truly an open rule, one which provides for ample debate on the bill and gives members of both the minority and the majority the opportunity to participate in debates. Any member can submit an amendment to H.R. 22 as long as it's germane in keeping with the rules of the House. As a member of the Rules Committee, I'm proud of the transparency, the openness, and the free-flowing debate that we've seen thus far in the 112th Congress, especially in the appropriation process. One way we can show our commitment to change we promise the American people is by supporting open rules like this. The underlying bill keeps our promise to bring an end to wasteful pet projects. In keeping with the House earmark ban, H.R. 2219 doesn't contain a single earmark. Now, as a father of 3 sons, all currently serving in the United States Army, this bill is of special importance to me. It's important to the Blue Star moms and dads whose kids have answered the call of duty and are serving their country in uniform. But this legislation isn't just important to the moms and dads and husbands and wives of the loved ones serving overseas. This legislation is important to all Americans. This appropriation bill ensures that the men and women in our armed forces are equipped with the tools and the resources they need to get the job done. It's a bill that ensures we can continue to go to bed at night and be safe and sound in our homes, knowing our troops are protecting our nation and our way of life. Mr. Speaker, I had the honor and privilege of visiting Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan during the last constituent week. While there, I got to meet many military leaders, our allies, but most importantly, our troops on the ground. I saw with my own eyes the equipment they're working with and the environment that they're working in. I saw what they had and what they heard about what they needed to get their jobs done. And this legislation is vital to giving our men and women in uniform the resources they need to perform their mission and, more importantly, to get them home safely. And, Mr. Speaker, while I'll support our troops no matter where the President sends them, I also believe we need to focus on the wars we're already fighting. To that end, I'm sorry there aren't restrictions on using these funds in Libya. I thank Chairman Young and Ranking Member Dix for not appropriating for further hostilities in that country. We can't stretch our resources so thin that we ultimately end up tying the hands of our troops. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to take a minute to discuss the rule's commitment to budgetary transparency. The budget resolution adopted earlier this year included specifically delineated funds for operations related to the global war on terror. This fund is capped at $126 billion. The intent of the budget language was to preserve these funds specifically for the war on terror and to ensure that the money wasn't diverted for unrelated programs. Previous majorities have used the similar constructs for the exact same purpose. Additionally, in previous Congresses, the Budget Committee Chairman was prepared to advise the Chair that in terms of spending levels, it is impermissible to use funding for the global war on terror to offset increases of spending elsewhere in this bill. Same is true in this Congress. Section 2 of the rule codifies the budget resolution's intent and the past practices of this House. The rules prohibit funding for the global war on terror from being used to pay for operations of any other kind. This provides for transparency and accountability to exactly how much money is being spent on the global war on terror, rather than counting the funds as an off-budget emergency spending program. With that, I encourage my colleagues to vote yes on the rule and to vote yes on the underlying legislation, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Florida, Mr. Hastings, is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. 2219, the Defense Department Appropriations Act,